Pros and cons of a south-facing garden. Hello friends, if you're on the lookout for a new property, you may be wondering what the pros and cons of a south-facing garden are. It's one of those things that's often touted as the holy grail of property hunting. But, is having a south-facing garden worth paying extra for, or should you save your cash? Let's take a look. What does a south-facing garden mean? A property with a south-facing garden is simply when the garden of the property faces mostly south. It is usually the rear garden that's considered for this description, since that's the garden most people spend their time in. The garden could be slightly off facing southwards and still be classed as south-facing. Anything from southeast through to southwest can be described as south-facing. How to tell if a garden is south-facing? Most estate agents will mention if a garden is considered south-facing due to the extra appeal it creates. However, there is no harm in checking properties you are interested in yourself. One of the easiest ways is to go to Google Maps and find the property you want to investigate. Switch to the satellite view and zoom in until the garden is clearly visible. Avoid rotating the map. The default position of a Google map is that north is at the top and south is at the bottom. Therefore, if the garden is facing the bottom of the screen, it's south-facing. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so if you stand facing the end of the garden and the sun rises to your left and sets to your right, you are facing south. At its highest point, the sun is directly south. That's why having a garden facing the south is usually considered preferable to a north-facing garden. Advantages of a south-facing garden. So, let's get on to the main pros and cons of a south-facing garden, starting with the pros. There are a number of advantages, including warmer. It's likely you'll be able to sit in the sun and enjoy your garden for longer periods than a north-facing garden. Less damp/moss. Because the garden will be sunnier, things like moss and damp will be less of a problem. Growing plants. If you like growing fruit and vegetables, they'll love the long sunny days facing south. Drying clothes. Your washing will dry much quicker when hung in a sunny southerly-facing garden. Less heating. Even in winter you may find rooms that face south need less heating to stay warm. Of course, there are other advantages of a south-facing garden, but that covers some of the main ones. Disadvantages of a south-facing garden. There are also a number of disadvantages, including too hot. At the height of summer, a south-facing garden can end up getting too hot to enjoy. The north side, the other side of the house, may suffer more from dampness and moss. Inconsistent room temperatures. You'll often find rooms on the south side are too warm, while rooms on the north side are too cold. Fading colors. Furniture such as curtains, sofas, and even walls tend to fade in the relentless sunlight. Cracked walls. The constant changes in temperature and moisture levels can eventually cause walls to crack. Therefore, it's clear, it's not always the case that a south-facing garden is best. If you do have a garden that faces south, then you'll probably need to invest in some form of sunshade in order to protect your furniture. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. For getting more useful and interesting information, subscribe to the engineer AJ Ladd's channel How to Make My House.